Join us and help us continue to support the many talented people of our community. Learn how to get your business highlighted on Lacrosse Local. Go to lacrosselocal.com and click on Advertise. The Pump House Regional Arts Center offers theatrical performances in partnership with Gray Area Productions. Local, talented artists producing thought-provoking and transformative theater with compelling stories and complex characters. Check out the calendar of performances and pick up your tickets at thepumphouse.org. Drive, walk, or take a carriage ride through Riverside Park for Rotary Lights. Over 3 million lights sparkling on the Mississippi now through New Year's Eve. A stunning holiday light show with a mission to feed the hungry. Admission is free, but a cash or food donation is appreciated. Visit rotarylights.org to learn more. Join us at the Lacrosse Winter Roots Festival, Saturday, February 11th at the Lacrosse Center. We'll celebrate Wisconsin favorites in music, cuisine, local beer, and spirits. Grab tickets at lacrosselocal.com. We connect with a few of the band members of Chicken Wire Empire. We chat origins, the intricacies between traditional and progressive bluegrass, their documentary All It Takes, and get into their recent album Fresh Pickles with Chris Castino of the Big Woo and Church Street Blues. Catch them live at the 2023 Lacrosse Winter Roots Festival on February 11th. You can find more conversations, food reviews, weekend picks, live music, and events on our website, lacrosselocal.com. I'm Amy.
And I'm Brent.
And this is Lacrosse Local.
Sitting here in the dark, whiskey in my hand, I'm trying to find a way to be a better man. You know I tried my best, I always do. Still love you, still love with you.
Well, my name's Ernie Bruce Bartis IV. I was born here in where I live right now in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I don't know, my family's pretty musical, and so from a young age, I was really surrounded and into music. Definitely was more in the classical end of things, but then as time went on, I went to school for violin, and as time went on, just kind of got more and more into the band world and like playing outside of the classical realms. So the past few years, it's been a lot of more of that kind of stuff. But really, it was just from a young age, being surrounded by it, and it didn't really seem like there was another option.
Is the violin kind of sought after now with bands? It seems like you must play in a number of different groups.
Well, I think I could play a little bit, and it was just people, including people actually like Jordan here, that were just like, oh, hey, there's no fiddlers around at the moment, and we want one, so you should come over and just.
You should get really good.
You just get really good at it.
Yeah, you should just get really good at it, and then you get work.
Yeah, that was definitely the huge thing. Whereas, well, there was quite a few classical violinists in the area, but very few in the fiddle world. So it just seemed like I'd be dumb not to turn down all that work.
And Jordan, were you born in Milwaukee too, or what was your sort of span from birth to playing music?
I'm from the suburbs, but long story short, when I was graduated guitar class and everyone bought a guitar and I bought a bass, so I was immediately in like 5 bands and was like, yes, I'm a bass player. It's great. And then I found out that I'm pretty good at arranging music and hearing all the other parts for it. So I just kind of kept on going. But if you saw the movie or anything like that, I mean, I kind of do the whole, like, I mean, my dad was a sax player. He got me into music. He got me into playing. So my family was musical, but not, nothing like kind of professional level later in life.
Checking out your music the last couple of days, and also just on the playlist, you guys come up quite a bit. I don't know like a lot about your backstory. Is the band like expand and contract with different players as it comes along? Or is it something that people swap out? It seems like I see new faces in each video.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really not. There's been some members switching out lately. It's kind of hard to touch on too much because during the end of the pandemic, people just kind of swapped in and out, and we've just kind of been doing what we have to get along, which is why it's been so great to do the Castino stuff, et cetera,
So speaking of COVID, was that whole, I know you had a recent album, Church Street Blues, come out, but wasn't COVID kind of directly connected to that Fresh Pickles album with Chris?
Oh yeah, big time. Big time. We were talking with Castino for a while about recording, and actually we were going to do a project of all new music of his. That was the original idea. And then when the pandemic hit, it was hard to get around and get together. So we just kind of worked off of his frame or basis of all of his other music, all the Big Woo stuff, which, we were fans of anyways. And Chris is such a great songwriter in the scene. And I loved the album that he did with Jeff Austin, the Songs from the Tin Shed, it's called. And so we were just we played that whole album with him after Jeff passed away, as kind of a sort of a tribute, to that whole time, I guess. When the pandemic hit, it was just kind of easier to get together over a course of a weekend and record that whole album. I think we did that whole album in one weekend, and then maybe like one post-production session, actually, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
It was a very ambitious move, and we all walked away feeling really good about it because we recorded the album basically live.
Were you always a fan of the Big Woo? Is that something that you think was an influence for you guys in some sense? I mean, I remember that band from I think driving around in my car in late high school years, listening to the song Kangaroo.
Same.
So
Kangaroo, I'm betting on the off track, on the off chance you left the outback. My kangaroo, you mean more to me than just another wannabe wallaby. My kangaroo.
So it's interesting to be a fan, and just over the last couple of years, my favorite bands are within 90 miles of where I live now. Was it an exciting process, or it's always something that you guys have always known of them, or enjoyed them or played with them?
Oh man, it's kind of a crazy story. Sorry if I keep on talking, Ern, but I'm just that question is funny because their keyboard player Al Oikery produced an album for my old band Steel and Strings in 2004, I want to say. I got Kangaroo was on a mixed CD that I got back in high school, and along with a bunch of other jam bands songs, at the time. And so that's when I became a huge fan of them. And then my band ended up working with them back in the day. So we just I've known Chris for that whole time. And we're not kicking and screaming by any means. For example, John Pike, our banjo player, he wasn't familiar with the band really at all. So some of us were really familiar, and then some of us had no idea of really what was going on with that whole scene.
I was not super hip to all of that, although I will say I got a Stealing Strings song on a mixed CD. So I was I wasn't at the source with the Big Woo, but
with the newer release, Church Street Blues, how did that one come together?
Basically, Jordan had a great idea of, hey, we should really try to use some contacts that we had made during a tour in Germany in late 2019. Basically go out to Tennessee and just record something
more in the traditional vein.
Yeah. We were just, with some of the people we got to hang out with, we hadn't really as a band gone to Tennessee, let alone recorded there. And we were just really inspired to go out there. And so we went out to East Tennessee. We actually got to play at the legendary Station Inn in Nashville on our way out there. Was that their first show back?
It wasn't their first show back. It was their first show after their original owner had passed away. Yeah, it was bittersweet.
Yeah. We played at Station Inn, then went out to East Tennessee and recorded there up in the hills. It's really fitting. It's a track called Church Street Blues, and I mean, we did record it in a church.
Found myself a picker friend who read yesterday's news, folded up page 21 and I stuck it in my shoe. They gave me a nickel to the poor, my good deed for the day. Folded up my old billfold and threw it far away. I got myself a rocking chair to see if I could lose these thin dime hard time head on Church Street Blues.
That's actually the church that's featured on the cover of the little single. And I don't know.
Bethel. Is it in Bethel?
It's in Elizabethton.
Elizabethton. Yes, yeah, yep.
But just outside of Johnson City, I don't know. It was a really good time. Felt like a really good take, and that was ridiculously live. Like, I mean, Jordan even sang it live. I think we all thought that it just turned out really nicely.
Yeah, so just to elaborate on that, because you should know it was produced by Lincoln Hensley, and he's got a huge name in the traditional banjo world. And it was engineered by Professor Dan Boner, who is the head of the East Tennessee University Old Time and Bluegrass School. So it was the idea was to go to the motherland and record something as old timey and true to bluegrass roots as possible. And that's kind of what that song ended up being. It was kind of an old timey new take on a song that had been recorded many, many times. But also worth noting is our version is a full band version, and that song is typically played on just a solo guitar.
Kind of speaking to that, your kind of visit to the motherland of bluegrass, you kind of touch on it, in your explanation on your website as well, from traditional to progressive. For people who don't know, especially me, and I listen to country and bluegrass quite a bit. What is that delineation? Like, what does that even mean, traditional to progressive?
Who knows?
Anybody know?
I don't think
we've decided that argument is for the fans. We just want to play. I'll say this about Chicken Wire is we are usually the most traditional band at a jam band festival and the most jam band at a traditional festival. I mean, that's just kind of how it's been for us for a while. Fair to say, Aaron? Because we're not a jam grass band and we're not a trad band. We're just a bluegrass band, that plays music that we like.
It sounded like that last album was kind of not necessarily down and dirty, but with, the songwriting process, does it take a while for you guys? I know you play some other traditionals and other favorite artists, but like, is that something that comes quick, or is it something you kind of spend some time on? Or do you like to kind of, like you're sitting in a shack in the mountains and just do one take?
It's kind of all over the place. Sometimes songs come out of nowhere and it rains. And then sometimes it's like, man, we really need to work out something soon,
Definitely. I think that with this last summer, we were just really busy. We would still try to like add something new or change something about what we were doing before. So I've always been pretty inspired by this group that we're not just trying to like dial it in and or phone it in, I should say. Like it's always something new. We definitely have been working on a lot of material this last year. There's not always time to play it out enough and really feel it out enough.
What's coming down the line? I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of music and maybe not recorded, but what's coming up for you guys? It looked like you had a lot of like a big show recently, packed rooms.
Yeah, we just did the Riverside in Milwaukee, which was a big deal for us. And then we got a couple tours. We'll be going back to Colorado in May. We'll be going to upstate New York in February, right before the Winter Roots Festival. We'll be coming back from a run up to Utica and back. And we are going to be going into the studio in 2 weeks just to record a couple more cover songs because those are always great for Spotify hits. And then we're talking to a couple bigger names about our next full-length studio album with the goal of having it done by like next late summer. Sweet.
So, I mean, you're going to have a little tour there before La Crosse Winter Roots Festival, February 11th. What can people expect from your live shows? I've been watching a few videos, but, where's it at? What happens? Fireworks?
Yeah. Brady, you got anything?
They don't allow us to use pyrotechnics anymore. But I will say this, that a lot of people, if they talk to me about the show, is they say that it looks like we're having fun. That's good, right? We're actually having fun. And I think that our shows are really dynamic. Like, it's not just a bunch of dudes getting on stage and then doing the same thing for, 45 or whatever minutes. Like, there's a lot of flow to the shows. There's a lot of, like, dynamics, even as in if it's going to be loud or tender or aggressive. There's just a lot that happens.
It's a variety show. That's, you know what I mean? It's a bluegrass variety show. I mean, throw in, some bigger tunes, some slower songs, and just try and showcase the variety of acoustic music that we all kind of come from and that we like. You know what I mean? For example, like John, our banjo player, was much more rooted in traditional and gospel music. I came from playing electric bass and James Brown and funk music. Ernie came from the classical world, and it all kind of comes into our music. You know what I mean? At least that's what I hope.
And Carter is just Carter.
Yeah. Carter is just there shredding all the time and just
Shredding.
growing and learning. He's learning so much, though. I mean, he came into the band following the footsteps of a pretty good mandolin player, and he's been stepping up to the plate. But I think like in our shows, like the variety of our backgrounds really do come out in almost every single show.
For people to check out your tunes before, you know, they come see you play, or they're fans already, what's the best avenue? Where are you most active on online? Are you on all the things?
Everything. The one that pays the least is Spotify, and that seems to be the most popular one. Go figure. Otherwise, I always just encourage people to go to YouTube and put on, you know, some live clips. Hope that they sound good with the, you know, the way that it's recorded.
Went to Roots. You know, when we brought up the fact that we're bringing Buffalo Gospel, Chicken Wire Empire, we also, you know, have probably some old friends from the Smoking Bandits. Everyone was really excited about the lineup, so I'm sure we're gonna have a great time. So I appreciate you guys chatting tonight, and also just being at the festival here in February. It's gonna rock.
It's gonna be fantastic. Hey, I'm excited about that lineup too.
I can't wait.
Lacrosse Local Podcast is a production of River Travel Media. Do you have an interview idea you'd like to share with us? Message us on Facebook at Lacrosse Local. Find out more about us at lacrosselocal.com, and you can subscribe to the Lacrosse Local Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.